Choosing the right picture profile for whatever it is that you're shooting is actually really important, and luckily it's not rocket science. So in today's video, I'm going to be going through the various picture profiles that I like to use inside my Lumix cameras and the various use cases where I might want to use them. So let's just get straight into it, starting off with photography. This one's really simple, to be honest. I use the standard picture profile for stills 99.9% of the time. And in fact, the only time where I wouldn't use a standard profile is if I'm utilizing the real-time LUT function and loading in my own presets to use in camera so that I can have a quicker turnaround time on those images. And this can be fantastic if, let's say, you're out with friends and family, or you're shooting something that isn't as important and you don't want to spend too much time editing those files. Then that real-time LUT function is really good, and again, being able to load in my own personal presets and use them in camera is also a really nice feature. But if I'm not doing that and I'm shooting for my clients, then I'm probably using the standard picture profile. And it's also worth noting that I'm always shooting both JPEG and RAW, for the very fact that I can always go back to the RAW file should I not like the stylized look of the JPEG, because of course if you are using the real-time LUT function or any of the more stylized picture profiles, then that will only apply to the JPEG and it will be baked into that file, but your RAW file will stay the exact same no matter what. And in fact, you can go inside of Lightroom and you can actually select the in-camera profile after the fact, so really it doesn't make too much of a difference. If you're interested, by the way, there's a link to my preset pack, the digital film preset pack, down in the description. I think they're pretty good and I'd really appreciate you guys checking them out. They come with the .cube file so you can load them into your camera, and they also come with a shooting guide to make sure that you're getting the best results every time. If you own any of the more recent Lumix cameras, then you should also check out the Leica monochrome picture profile, especially if you enjoy doing street photography. It's probably my favorite black and white picture profile available on the Lumix cameras, and as I said, you can just shoot in RAW and JPEG so that you get that black and white JPEG image, and then if you decide somewhere down the line that you'd like to have the color information instead, you have the RAW backed up anyway, so that's always a really nice way to work when you are doing black and white. Okay, so now moving on to video, and this is where things get slightly more complicated, but not by much, to be honest. So for the most part, I'd say maybe 80 to 90% of the time, I'll shoot with the Vlog color profile purely because it gives me the most leverage in post-production. I can also get really clean results if the scene itself is pretty well lit. Vlog as a picture profile generally prefers to be overexposed, and I'd say that you get the best results when you're overexposed by maybe +1 stop or +2 stops. That normally yields good results. And if you find that you're getting noisy results when shooting Vlog, it's one of two things normally. Either there's not much light in the scene, or you're pushing your ISO way beyond any of the base ISOs for Vlog. So your two bases for Vlog are ISO 640 and ISO 4000, and I'd highly recommend that you stay as close to those bases as you possibly can. So for example, let's say I'm shooting a scene and my camera says that good exposure is around ISO 2000 to ISO 2500, then what I'd actually go and do is I'd actually move the camera up to the second base, which is ISO 4000, and I'd just slap an ND on the front of my lens to sort of mitigate that extra light from the higher ISO to give me correct exposure. And then doing that, you're going to get much cleaner results than if you were to dilly-dally between 640 and 4000. And again, you know, ISO 800, 1250, 1600, etc. normally gives pretty good results, but I really wouldn't veer too far away from your base ISOs. However, Vlog definitely isn't the best picture profile for all types of video shoots. For example, there's definitely some times where I prefer to use profiles like Cine-D or Natural. Like a good example of that would be if I was shooting in a poorly lit environment, because of course, as I said earlier, Vlog generally tends to prefer to be overexposed, and if you don't have enough ambient light, then you're not going to get the most ideal results from that picture profile. And instead, I definitely recommend that you shoot with something like Cine-D instead, because you're able to expose at +0, so you're not pushing it too much, and therefore you may not need to have as much light to get clean results. The Cine-D picture profile also applies more in-camera noise reduction when compared to Vlog, so if you do find yourself going further away from your base ISO values, then generally speaking that profile will be more forgiving. Generally, if you expose for your highlights and you crush your blacks just ever so slightly, you can get some pretty clean results in low light situations, and also it means that you don't have to do much work in post in terms of noise reduction and all that sort of stuff comparatively to if you were shooting in low light with Vlog. I think natural is actually the best looking profile for video straight out of camera, and that's if you refuse to do any sort of edits in post. So if you want to take that footage and post it immediately, then I'd recommend that you shoot with natural. Or if you wanted to be even fancier with it, then you could always utilize the real-time LUT function to bake in your favorite conversion LUT. And then you could also take it one step further by using one of the My Photo style options, setting it to Vlog, and then you can stack two different LUTs together. So you could have your conversion LUT for Vlog and then also a look LUT, and have that nice color graded look baked into your footage at the point of shooting. To be honest though, if you're able to expose the picture profile that you're using correctly and you set your white balance correctly, then realistically you should be able to get good looking footage no matter what picture profile you're using. You should definitely make sure whenever you're shooting video though that you are selecting a 10-bit codec in camera and not an 8-bit codec, because that will have a massive effect in how your image plays when you're in the edit. Ultimately, you're going to see the image break away much quicker in 8-bit, and if you want a full video on 8-bit versus 10-bit and you know the real science nerdy stuff behind it, then let me know down below and I can make a more definitive guide on the actual differences and why 10-bit should always be the one that you strive to use. Vlog still is a picture profile that I use the most for video, and that means that I generally find it quite easy to grade now. So if you are interested in knowing my quick, simple and easy Vlog grading workflow, then you should go ahead and check out this video next.